Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode of GEEXX Reads. First, let's cover the elephant in the room. I got a haircut. Whew, man, they cut it short, didn't they? I don't have much hair left from the cut this short. Ugh. I guess as my videos go on, you get to watch it grow and see how gray it's getting. I think that, you know, we're not here to talk about my vanity. I have plenty of that to share, but you don't need to hear it. Today I'd like to talk about the final book in the Shadowbone trilogy. What is it? Ruin and Rising. I keep saying it the other way around. By Leigh Bardugo, which there's an image of here. This takes place shortly after the climactic battle in the final book. A few months later, Alina is still recovering from the after effects of that battle. It bleached her hair white. She's very weakened. She is not recovering very well. She can't summon light anymore. But we're not sure if that's because of the injuries she suffered, of the trauma she suffered during that last battle, or because she's been kept underground. There's a place where the Apparat, who's created a legion of zealots who worship Alina as a saint, are hiding underground. They have an underground, base. So it's, you're not sure if it's because she's just suffered a permanent injury or if it's because she's been kept away from sunlight for this entire time. And she hasn't been allowed to, to use sunlight to recharge herself because her power comes from the sun. So we're not really sure. It's hinted. I think the author does a good job of hinting that it could be either. However, the book could be really short if she couldn't use sun summoning anymore. Although it would have been an interesting take to see what would have happened if she had, continue to fight the Darkling without her power to counter his. The Apparat, who has been a somewhat ally of hers, sort of shows his true colors in the opening parts of this book. He is trying to isolate her from everyone who might help her except him. He is trying to convince people she is a living saint, and he basically wants that for himself. It is quite obvious that he wants to set himself up as the leader of a new religion, worshiping Anna as a saint, with him as its only source of power, completely undermining and subverting Alina under himself. That becomes pretty apparent pretty quickly. So, I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler, but it's not giving too much away. The story is basically, follows. Again, I hate giving her spoilers, but I really can't do much else. She does eventually go searching for the third amplifier. They kind of have to, even with all her power, the Darkling still outstrips her. He's still more powerful, and he still has hundreds of years of experience. He continues to learn new things he can do with his Darkling power, with his shadow summoning. And he continues to surprise me. The author continues to surprise us. They go searching for the third amplifier. There's a few things that are hinted at that I'm not sure if they were alluded to in previous books or if we're just finally getting to it now. I think that's kind of in my opinion, a bit of a flaw, that the author had an opportunity to hint at things which are revealed in this book earlier on. The good thing about a good mystery is that they give you the tools necessary to figure it out for yourself, but they subvert them so deeply that that when you finally, that smart people can figure it out, but the rest of us are like, oh wow, I should have seen that coming because of this thing before. It's like, I think one of the final reveals in this book is something that there's no way we could have seen coming, aside from hints we get in this book. So I think the author could have done a better job of, I mean, there's a couple tiny hints, but nothing that would ever allow anyone to figure it out. Not really, not without some huge leaps of logic. You know, we basically get to meet all the characters from the previous books for the most part. I don't know if there's any. I mean, I know there were some deaths in the previous book, but they were mostly secondary characters. We get most of the secondary characters back in this book, aside from the ones who died in the previous book. I like Genya's transformation, not her physical one. She is horribly scarred, and it affects her deeply, but she becomes a stronger person for it. So it's hard. It's bad that she had to go through that horrible tragedy to become a better person, a stronger person. But I've liked her character arc. Alina and Mal, I think, have some character arc, but they don't really change all that much. They change a little. Alina becomes a bit more confident, a bit stronger, but she still has a lot of the same character flaws she had to start out with. I'm trying to do the stuff without giving away too much of the story. They go after the third amplifier, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can't really go into too much more detail. Let me talk about the characters. What can I talk about the characters themselves? I'm not sure. This is a shitty review. I do like them all. Even the Darkling. He is a complex, for what's basically a young adult novel, he's a fairly complex villain. You get the sense that he is mostly the monster he appears to be, but there is also, like, his attraction to Alina is incredibly selfish. But you get hints that he longs for someone he can be with. Not necessarily romantically. I mean, he kind of does lust after her, but he's been alone for centuries with no one as his equal, except perhaps maybe his mother. We were revealed that Bagra is his mother at some point. I don't know which book it's in, but, and even she's not as strong as he is, but she's been the only one he can trust and rely on. The only one who won't try and use his power for their own gains. He's longed for some sort of connection with someone other than his mother, because his mother is just a bitter, miserable old woman for a number of reasons, which we learn about. Boy, she's got a backstory. We get some of her backstory here. And some of the Darkling's backstory too, but you get the sense that he does have this one spark of honest desire for Alina to like him. He wants someone he can trust, who he can meet on equal terms, because he is so far above everyone else in terms of raw power that people have, he's had centuries of people, he talks in the first book about how people try and kill him because as a living amplifier, they can use his bones to make their own amplifier, to amplify their own strength. That, that's a way that Grisha amplify their powers, is to use other living things to amplify themselves. And he'd be a good tool to use for that. He has to constantly deal with, threats of assassination for that. And like I said, there's a real character there. And I think the author's done a good job of conveying that, of the fact that he has burned away like 90% of his humanity in pursuit of power. And he doesn't see himself as a villain in doing all the awful things he does. He views every evil thing he does as necessary for his own safety. But she's done a good job with him. I really think she has. The other characters are interesting in their own right. They're fairly well developed, and I like them. I like even the characters who are just so damn annoying. You do kind of feel for them a little bit. And I've gushed about this book for several minutes now. As the finale for the trilogy, there's some really good stuff here and some very, very surprising moments. In spite of the fact that I've kind of, one of my criticisms of this book is that it's kind of blunt. you know, being meant for young adult readers, it's not very complex. I praise the character development as you know, being fairly well done, but the book is fairly basic. You know, the storylines there's you know, no new stories under the sun sort of thing. Having said that, the author does manage to surprise me on at least 3 or 4 occasions in this book alone. The way she took a few things, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't see that coming. um, so I have my few criticisms of the series itself is that it's kind of blunt. You know, it's not very deep in most places. Um, so for you know, it's a young adult, but for a young adult book, as an adult reading a young adult book, it's pretty good. My one personal criticism of this book itself is that the finale was kind of too neat, in my opinion. You know, like leading up to the grand finale. It's like, okay, I like this. This is cool. It's scaling up well, and then it's like, really, it just tied itself up into too neat of a bow. You know, it was just too neat and tidy. Which is, sorry, I'm licking my lips. I have cotton mouth. I had to drink my tea, but you know, it was just, you know, just you build up and then okay, we're done now. It's like, you know, there was some epilogue stuff which I thought she handled very, very well. It was just that, you know, the finale of the final climactic battle, it was just too neat, in a lot of ways. I mean, it fit with a lot of the, it's nothing new the way it ends. It's just this style of ending I've never liked, because it is too neat and clean. But yeah, you know, what happens in the aftermath of the characters, the survivors, and not everyone makes it through. There are a few surprising moments there, but oh, at the end of the book, there is a little short story that is a prequel. It talks about the Darkling when he was a small boy, like an early teenager. He was like, I think he's like 16. That's a cute little bonus, and it gives you some more insight into why he is. You know, again, you know, he was once a normal 16-year-old boy. He wasn't always the monster he became. So I really liked that. That was a cute little addition. As far as rating, would I recommend the series? Yes, I would. I know there's more books than this. I'm going to ask my daughter for them. Books that by the author in the same universe, not the same characters. I didn't know that much. It's like other parts of the world. It's a young adult novel. It's got teen romance in it, and at my age, I'm really done with teen romance. I can't stomach it anymore. So yeah, it's a bit light reading, despite the fact that it's what? Yeah, it's like over 400 pages. So you know, it's a good thick book. It's a good read, but it is a young adult novel, and it is a young adult series. So take that for what it is. But within that context, it's a decent series. You know, I'm gonna have to give it a B plus, and that's just because of my own little. Some of that's just me, you know. I can't fault the writer for the quality of the work. I really can't. But it's a young adult novel, you know, and just my own personal things, I couldn't overcome it to give it anything higher than that. Maybe, you know, even if I could, I probably would have given it an A minus just for the teen romance. And the fact that it kind of, you know, it's kind of blunt in places. It's not very complex in a lot of places. But still, would recommend if you're into this sort of thing. I know there's a Netflix series, Shadow and Bone, which I think covers the first 2 books. And I may have to watch that next and maybe review that. My daughter likes it. As always, thanks for watching. As always, if you like this video, I got nothing for you but more crap like this. And until next time, good hunting.